What is up, heroes? This is MidniteZer0. Welcome back to Heat of the Week. We are here for week 12, and we actually had quite a bit of a week. There was quite a bit of heat going on, and of the heat, there was actually a decent amount that was pretty effective, so I am pretty excited to show you guys what I have in store for this week. Again, as always, I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say too, so let me know in the comment section below, of course, after the video, what you guys thought, if you would have ranked things a little bit differently, if there was something I missed, all that sort of thing. But regardless, let's hop into our first Pokemon, and that is going to be Blaziken from Papa C, coach of the New York Clinks. This Blaziken in particular is pretty cool. I have never seen a Fire Emblem Z Sunny Day Blaziken. He also had Fire Emblem Z to potentially go for an Inferno Overdrive, a really powerful flamethrower. But what I really like about Z Sunny Day is, upon going for Z Sunny Day, you boost your speed by one stage, and because of the Sunny Day, you're already boosting your really powerful stab fire type attacks, whether that's Flare Blitz, whether that's Flamethrower, whether it's Fire Blast, Overheat, Blaze Kick, all that sort of thing, and it enables you to go for something like Solar Beam. But another, even to throw on top of that, is that it weakens all the water type moves, which Blaziken is weak to, and as you see in the highlights, Blaziken is actually only able to live a Scald from this very offensive Empoleon that Chris Cobain brought because of the sun, and then is able to kill it out with Flamethrower. Sadly, it didn't get to do too much more because Chris Cobain did bring Scarf Dugtrio, which is really good prep on his part, but otherwise it could have knocked that thing out with a Flamethrower or a Solar Beam and done a ton of damage. It's running HP Ice for the Zygarde, and it has speed just to outspeed the relevant Scarfers. And imagine max special attack just to do as much damage as possible, and whatever was left over went into HP. So really cool set. I like Blaziken a lot, and I've never seen a set like this, and I thought it was really creative. It's got Z Sunny Day really helps Blaziken a lot. So good stuff to Papa C. Moving on to the next Pokemon, we have Landorus T from Jodor, coach of the Seattle Sea Kings. This Landorus T is really cool in that it's Sub-Calm Mind. Not a very common Landorus T set you see, but why, you might be asking, did Jodor bring this set? At least I believe it is because, well, first of all, Substitute is really helpful when you're going up against a Ditto. If Substitute is up, Ditto can't copy you. So as long as you have a sub up, you can protect all of your boosts from a Ditto who wants to come in, become you, and steal all those, potentially knock you out with a Scarf, or like Scarf HP Ice in this case, or something like that. And yeah, so with Substitute and CM, you can start boosting up, and it's not something that you really anticipate much, so it's got that bit of a surprise factor. Earth Power for a nice stab coverage move, and HP Ice in case Ditto did come in. You can hit that really hard, and as you see in the clips that are on screen right now, he was able to take care of a Xatu with HP Ice. Now, there are probably more plays. This Landorus T was in for a long time, so I'm only showing when it first, went for CM, when it first went, or Calm Mind, or when it first went for Substitute, and then when it knocked out the Xatu. It also got a really good amount of damage off on this Alakazam, which you'll see very shortly. But outside of that, that's kind of all there is to it. It didn't really sweep or anything like that. It wasn't like game breaking, it didn't make the match for Jodor, but it was pretty cool. It was really heat, and it actually did put in a little bit of work, so that's why you see it here. Moving on to the next Pokemon, we have Alakazam from Lindo, coach of the Seattle Sharingan Superiors. And this Alakazam is a really heat set. I know there's one EV spread here. There's actually another EV spread because he used this same Alakazam in 2 different matches this week because of makeup matches and all that sort of thing. So he used 2 different spreads. Basically, the only difference was the speed versus defense spread, just really outspeeding the relevant threats. It's got Light Clay so that it can get its Reflect and Light Screens up for a long time. Taunt to prevent setup sweepers on the opposing end. Enough speed to taunt things that, well, would set up, I guess, and would maybe fear like a really powerful Psychic or a Shadow Ball or something like that. And then Seismic Toss to do consistent damage, because when you don't have a lot to invest in your special attack, when you don't have one coverage move, that's going to, or one move that's going to hit everything you want, you can always go for Seismic Toss, which is going to very consistently do the same amount of damage. You're not going to be intimidated. You're not going to, it's not going to matter if your opponent boosts up. You're always going to be doing that same amount. So that's why it's really cool. This Alakazam, as I said, it took part in 2 different games this week, and it was more of a support role. So coming up with clips, I'm going to be honest, was just way beyond what I was willing to do. So sorry, Lindo, but this Alakazam did play a really cool support role, and it's a bit more heat than, in my opinion, the Landorus T, so that's why it's here. And congrats to Lindo for, coming in and already making a really cool appearance with this Alakazam. So yeah, that is going to be number 3. Moving on to number 2, we have Krookodile from A-Drive, coach of the Minnesota Vikavolt. This Krookodile You know, I watched the team builder. It came here with the corkscrew crash just to beat this Sylveon. Sylveon, you know, typically can run a physically defensive set, can easily knock out Krookodile with Hyper Voice, but with that Steelium Z, with that Iron Tail, it had a really good chance to just straight up OHKO, even a defensive Sylveon, and A-Drive brought it, turn 1, was ready to pull the trigger, and straight up OHKO'd Sylveon. So really cool set. It was really good team prep. It really supported the rest of his team, and he had the guts to pull the trigger right away, and it paid off. So good stuff to A-Drive for the creative team building and the effective play with it. That's the epitome of thinking outside the box and then having that plan come to life during the match itself. So good stuff. And now, before we get into the final mon, the heat of the week, I do want to go over some honorable mentions because there were some cool things and there are some things I want to mention. First of all, Swami had a Flame Orb Trick Rotom Heat. I know that's one of his favorite sets, and we've seen it a couple times before. It is a really cool set indeed. Lindo also had a Sub-Salic Garchomp. I know that is somewhat Smogon standard, but it also did manage to put in a good amount of work, getting to beat an Excadrill 1v1, even though it was Scarf, which was really cool. He also brought a sub-Chople Terrakion against one of his other opponents. So behind the Reflect and the Light screen, it could potentially take a hit, a Focus Blast, or a Superpower, or something like that, and get a sub up and SD, and potentially sweep through a team. Also, the sub was there to help against a Will-O-Wisp, what's it called? A Will-O-Wisp Sableye, if Jodor brought that. So that's why that is there. And then there are a couple special cases. There are some really heat mons that were apparently brought this week, but the battles didn't go up. And I don't know really where or what to do about those sorts of mons. You know, Galactic Elliot brought a Tailwind Defensive Mence. The Tailwind makes it pretty heat, and it's not like super heat, but it did put in a lot of work according to Elliot, who messaged me about it. So I did want to mention it, and I did want to give him a shout out for that creative team building and using it effectively in the battle. But because you guys haven't seen it because the battle isn't up, I didn't really feel right including it in Heat of the Week. But when that does go up, do definitely go check that out. And then there's Kelly, Under the Radar, who brought some really interesting mons this week. But again, that battle isn't up either, so I'm going to recommend that you guys do take a look at that. Apparently, some of his mons actually did put in a little bit of work. He brought an SD Autotomized Weakness Policy Skarmory, which is so heat, but I really wish I had clips to pull from. I wish I had the battle to watch, and if that were the case, and it did put in work, they would definitely be up here, Kelly. So good stuff for that. There's also Curse Musharna that was going to Baton Pass into a White Herb Lucario, which is a really cool set. And then there was Spadef T-Spikes Frogadier. So definitely some really cool heat. And again, I'm not really sure if you guys agree with me on not including it because, or not mentioning it or like giving it a spot in Heat of the Week, I guess, because the battle didn't go up. Really, I mean, it shouldn't really matter. It's really cool heat, and I wish I could have seen it. And I'm just gonna advise that when those battles do go up, do check them out because I'm sure they'll be really cool, and I'm excited to see them anyways. And with that, I think we can move on to the final Pokemon. The Heat of the Week this week, as you guys probably know if you have seen the match, is going to be Mew from Swami, coach of the Colorado Rapidash. This Mew in particular, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have mixed views about Mew. Like, Mew is the epitome of versatility, of diversity and move pool and item use and, you know, just role filling and everything. So some people maybe think that a more creative, a more out there Mew isn't really that heat. I personally think it's just kind of like giving someone more tools to work with, and that doesn't mean you should kind of, I don't know, nerf or take away from whatever they come up with because they have more tools. It's still, if it's equally as creative, if it's still as impressive of a result, like, it still should be rewarded as so. So again, this Mew, it's got Nasty Plot, Tailwind, Aura Sphere, and Ice Beam. So it's got some really cool coverage moves. Aura Sphere is there mainly for Kartana, but also to hit Muck potentially. Ice Beam is there for Garchomp and just neutral coverage against a lot of the ground types that Lindo's team had. And Nasty Plot is there to just do a lot of damage. After +2, it's doing, you know, a ton, but outside of that Nasty Plot, you'll see that the Mew has 164 special attack EVs, and that's to 100% OHKO a Garchomp with 4 HP EVs, and the speed is there so that, what is it again? The speed is there so that after a Tailwind, this Mew can outspeed a Choice Scarf Alakazam, which is really cool. basically turning this Mew into a somewhat bulky pivot, because Mew is just naturally pretty bulky, and because of Tailwind, because of Nasty Plot, can become a late game sweeper. And this Mew put in so much work in the game, being able to sponge hits, being able to get Aura Spheres off early in the game. It got to go for the Tailwind, which could have supported the team based on how Lindo played, but he also got off a Nasty Plot in the face of the Alakazam that went for a Light Screen, enabling it to actually do the damage it needed to win. Aura Sphere was there to take out the Kartana. Ice Beam actually got a really interesting freeze on Alakazam, and it also got just a bunch of damage on Alakazam too. Aura Sphere took out Lantern. This Mew played a really big role in Swami's match and his overall victory, and it was a great game. I can't even stress enough how much fun I had just watching that game. So if you haven't seen that match yet, definitely go check it out. And let me know if I missed anything. What do you guys think of the Heat this week? And what are you looking forward to in the future? I'm excited to see what people bring, you know? A lot of times as the playoff picture gets closer, people really try hard, people really try to think outside the box, people really try to counter their upcoming teams. It's kind of like that last little sprint. And then there's also on the other end of the spectrum, people start to not care as much, or people know they don't have to care, and then they bring meme sets like like meme sets, super weird sets that could prove effective and could be Heat of the Week. So I'm really excited, looking forward to next week, but I will see you guys then. But until then, this is MidniteZer0, and this mission is complete.